Concerts. Today we're talking about concerts. And everybody loves a concert. I know I do. I'll get a little bit into that, actually. I've been to a few concerts in my life. I grew up here in Los Angeles, so I like to feel like the amount of concerts that go on here is quite a few, so I've been lucky to have that and have so many artists come through here and be here. Today we're going to be ranking every concert that I've been to. I think I've gotten all of them on a list. It's actually not too many. When I go to see a concert or I pay the money to go see a concert, it's because I love the artist or their sentimental value and there's reason for it. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have my dino here that I got here in LA in Sawtell. Anyway, he'll just be here with us for the video. Last time it was the owl, the big owl. Now it's the dino. I went to my first concert when I was probably 7 or 8. What constitutes a good concert for Natalie? A good concert has to have good atmosphere. I'm not someone who totally likes to mosh or rage in like a general admission area. I like to be comfortable. I like to have food and drink in hand. I like to sing along. Maybe this means I'm better suited for the older crowd, perhaps. But I like intimate concerts. I like things that feel almost like they're one-on-one and that there's nobody else there, but to each their own. Because sometimes the most raging concerts can really be the best. You can have fun with your friends. So I kind of haven't been to a ton of those, but there's a couple on the list. A good concert to me is a really good setup as well. I don't need anything super fancy. Good lighting, cool like guitar strap, stylistic approaches, and most of all, a set list. A set list is so important. You know, the hits are played, but for the people who really listen, you've got some niche ones in there that maybe not everybody knows. I guess the intimate vibe of a concert is really what gets me. So that's my criteria for my list. You can let me know if you agree or disagree. And let's get into it. I was about to say that this is in no particular order, but it is. The first concert I'm talking about is one that I went to very early on in my life. And the only reason it's at the bottom is probably not because of the concert, but because I don't remember it. I've got a t-shirt. I remember being there with my mom. And besides that, I kind of just don't really remember. And that was Taylor Swift's Speak Now tour. A lot of purple. There's a lot of purple on that tour. And I had a good time. I don't know. I think there was a lot of girls my age, so I felt like I really fit in and I was like cool. And I remember dressing up for that concert. Taylor Swift was really becoming like Taylor Swift at that time, especially during Fearless before that. I love all the things she's doing now and I support her and I listen to all her music. I was definitely a huge Swiftie growing up. It's still there in me, I think, and I get excited when she releases music and things happen with Taylor Swift. But the Speak Now tour goes at the bottom of my list. Again, not because of what it was, but because I don't remember it. I always tell people I kind of have short-term, you know, like in the Finding Dory movie, it's like, I have short-term memory loss. That's me. I think things prior to like 8 or 10 is a little fuzzy, unless I see pictures and I remember being there. Most things in my life are a little fuzzy. I kind of just wake up and it's today and then it's going to be tomorrow. And then I just remember what I want to remember. Anyway, that was off topic. Second concert, same vein. The Red tour, I went with a really close friend named Nicole at the time and her mom. Oh my God. And that was a stellar experience. So when you go to a Taylor Swift concert, you dress up. Okay. I'm sure you know that. Even back to like Red and Speak Now, you wear a t-shirt. Very typical, like everyone was wearing red. Okay, because there's colors associated to the album. I had my concert t-shirt on that I had gotten prior, or my mom got for me prior. And she had a really cute outfit on, my friend Nicole. And I just didn't look that great. You know, like when you wrap a present, it's like tulle, like all the fluffy stuff. I made a rope out of that and I put it in my hair as a bow. So I look like JoJo Siwa. Anyway, I just remember that. I mean, I was really young at that time. So like I said, I pick and choose what I want to remember. And unfortunately, I remember that. That was an amazing concert. She like went through the crowd. We had really good seats. I think we were like on the lower bowl, like first row, which is perfect because I could sit down when I was tired because I was 8. And then I could stand up and dance with Nicole when I wanted to. And it was just such a fun night. And I actually remember the car ride home. I was like gonna pass out. I was so tired. I liked that concert because even though I remember bits of Speak Now, I feel like Red was one of the first ones where there was really a concert. Like she puts on shows. So I will say that it's one of those concerts where you go for the production value. Amazing. I mean, me at 8 at the time, I was freaking out. I've put her other tours above this, obviously, but Red goes above Speak Now. It was a good, fun time. Third on my list was one that I waited a year and a half for. I did pre-sale. I was so obsessed. Every young girl has her phase for somebody, right? And my friend Victoria came with me for this tour because she was also equally interested, I think, and we just had a really fun time together. And it was Shawn Mendes's plural, self-titled album, Shawn Mendes. I really liked this tour. Very music focused. I wouldn't say super cool production value. I mean, he had that giant flower in the middle, so that was kind of cool. I remember he played a lot of his hits, which I appreciated, but he also played a lot of his album that he was touring for, so I appreciated not just playing the hits. It's so funny that this is at the bottom of my list, because if you ask anybody, my Shawn Mendes phase was just so rampant that you would think that this is top tier. But I think as time has gone on and the more I've seen, I love Shawn Mendes. It was a good show. I had a really good time. The music was good. I remember the audio being really good. I thought his singing was really, really wonderful. There was good production value because there was a lot of good like big drops and lights, and it was really well done. Shawn Mendes' self-titled album, Shawn Mendes Tour, goes third on my list. The next one is a funny one because I think I was way too young to be at this show. Here's the thing about it though, because I don't really know, because sometimes I think this artist is for children sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, wow, I think I was too young to be at this show. I saw her at the Nokia Theater with my mom. I saw her at the Nokia Theater. I don't know if it's still called that, but we saw her there. Production value was off the charts. Me at my 10 or 11-year-old self was going crazy for it, and a lot of it I think I didn't understand. That was Katy Perry's tour. I don't actually know which one this was. I know she did California Girls. I don't really remember a ton of this show, but you know what I remember? It was a really fun night with my mom, and a lot of these concerts I've been to with my mom, and my mom's my bestie, so we have a lot of fun at concerts by default. A lot of the ones that she's been at with me are at the top. I remember that concert being really cozy. What was odd, maybe it was just at the time, but we were in like a theater, like kind of like where they host the Grammys or the Oscars. So it felt very formal. Like I remember sitting in like a movie theater seat, but you had this crazy production going on. It was very Vegas, very, very Vegas, very Vegas residency. She did a really good job. I mean, I've seen documentaries of that tour, her, kind of what she went through mentally at that time. So it was very interesting as a young kid to just really never catch on to any of that. And she put on a really, really, really awesome show. That was one of the first times I thought maybe I wanted to be a pop star. I mean, no, and that's sort of subsided now in the way I view being an artist and how I want to be as an artist. But that was the first time I thought, wow, I really want to get on stage and be on stage all the time. And I was getting really into music at that time and starting to perform my little recitals with my music teacher. I kind of hold Katy Perry's concert to heart with that one, because I think it was when I finally figured out that I no longer wanted to do like competitive dancing and I wanted to do music instead. Fourth on my list is Katy Perry's tour. Fifth one was not actually a full-on concert. It was somebody who opened. I think he opened for Taylor Swift. I forget which tour it was, but I counted as a concert because he had like a full-on set. And this was Ed Sheeran. I think this was during her Red tour. Similar to Shawn Mendes in different ways. I went through such an Ed Sheeran phase. I think a lot of people did. And at the time when I was getting into songwriting around 12, he really opened the gates to songwriting for me, because a lot of his stuff felt very introspective and he had a lot of fun play on words, and he would like rap in some songs, and I was super fascinated and inspired by it. So I do remember that pretty fondly. Ed Sheeran's super cool because I think he can really win a crowd over just him and a guitar. He did that whole loop pedal thing. I remember that. And that was a really good, staple for his kind of brand and stuff. I wouldn't say it was crazy production value, but as an opener, I think, you got Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran in one night when I was like 12. No, I was like 10. I don't know how old I was. I was somewhere in the young and age, before 13. I couldn't believe that I had two for the price of one. Maybe it was two for the price of two. I don't really know. Number 6. This is kind of where it starts getting hard for me. I put this artist here not because of the concert itself. It just wasn't a good night for me personally. The concert was amazing. This artist played the Paradise Rock Club in Boston when I was at Berkeley doing music. And I went with my close friend and roommate at the time, Giselle. She's been on the podcast. We were both just having hard times in our love lives. And I think it was just a bad night overall. But what was super fun about it is when he would play like sadder songs, we would, be sad together. And then at the end, we went home. I think we had food mood, and then we like passed out. It was great. Sometimes if you're not in a great mood and then you go to a concert with someone who's in a great mood, there can be a stark difference there. But I think I hold this concert with good memories, and I laugh about it now because we were both so sad on this day, and we were like, hey, this concert's tonight. We have to go because we're not going to just not show up because I love this artist. Played his first 2 albums. I don't listen to him a ton now, but this artist changed production for me and what it means to self-produce something and how much respect I have for that, especially for his first Fuzzy Brain album, and that's Dayglow. Dayglow put on a really good show, and that's a really tiny stage. The Paradise Rock Club is like very small. There's like a lower general admission area, and then you can go up to like the upstairs area. What I remember about that tour more than others, to be honest with you, is just the good vibes of like his fan base. A lot of them are just very just wholesome, happy, just wants to just be there kind of people. I'd really never seen him live or do anything live. I really didn't even know what he looked like. And he worked the stage really well. He kind of went back and forth. I love Dayglow. I listen to Dayglow when I'm happy and in the car. So number 7 is a good one. I went with Victoria, my close friend Victoria again. She went to the Shawn Mendes concert, self-titled Shawn Mendes concert, and we had such a good time. I remember it was sort of so hot. I saw this artist at the Greek Theater here in LA, which is probably, I'm just going to say it on the internet, it's one of the best places to see an artist because it's a beautiful venue, it's outdoor, it's very summer, it's the smaller Hollywood Bowl, and it's my like dream place to play. If I ever play the Greek, then I think I made it. And that artist is Vance Joy. I've actually seen Vance Joy twice. The first time I saw him was near USC's campus. I actually have no idea where that was. It was a very small concert. And I saw Elle King at that show too. I think vocally she's amazing. I kind of don't remember her set, but I remember her being great and being excited actually to see both of them together because her song X's and O's was like huge at that time. And Vance Joy, both times, super amazing. It's a very chill concert. He has very wholesome energy. So when he talks and stuff, a lot of it is just very relatable and it's very like you're just a normal person here on stage giving us a good show. Of course, he played some hits. Like I saw him at the Greek for his Fire and the Flood show and it was so hot outside, but I didn't care. And I remember Victoria and I got hot dogs and I have a photo of her with that hot dog actually. You're never gonna have a bad experience at the Greek. It almost doesn't even matter who's performing because the way it's set up and the light and how it gets dark and the sunset in the back, it's really hard to not have a good time. And I think that's why the Hollywood Bowl is such a great venue as well, especially in the summertime. And what I loved, what I remember about that concert is that it sounded just like the record. I might get some heat for this. The only reason that this concert is like the middle top of my list is for personal reasons and because I think I have had more personal experiences to other concerts above this. Air's tour is going above Vance Joy. This tour is phenomenal. I have no qualms about it. I think it's stellar. Like what it was, I can't believe I got to go. And again, I went with my mom. I see Taylor Swift with my mom every time she's here. A lot went wrong for us at this show. We, as many people, had pre-sale, right? Because we had tickets to her Lover tour. And then obviously with COVID, that fell through. So we got like a link to register earlier and we didn't get it. And I spent that whole day doing that. And I remember being so upset about, wasting my whole day trying to get tickets for that. But then later we got a link from Ticketmaster and it was that thing that a few people got where it was like, you just bid a certain amount of money and then we're just going to give you your seats and you're not going to know where you're sitting. So it was a little suspicious, but we did it because we really wanted to go. And honestly, we saw Reputation in the nosebleeds and we could care less. Well, I'll get to that concert, actually. We got floor seats. And at first, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. My mom and I are short people. I'm 5'3.5", and my mom's like 5'5". And so we really couldn't see the whole first quarter of the concert. And then I had some like health issues going on. So we had to get out of there. I think that's kind of what I was talking about before with my criteria for a concert. Being comfortable is so important and being hydrated. And we couldn't bring water down at the floor. We had like water cups, but filling them and then getting out. I mean, the rows are so long. If you went to this tour, So we finally got out and we were so lucky there at the stadium that security was so willing to listen to us. And so kind of where you'd get, food and drinks down at the lower bowl of the stadium, they just let us stand there behind the glass. And that was really nice. And then the rest of the concert was phenomenal. And we stood and we had a really good time. They really fill those stadiums as they should, but I think, it was a little overwhelming for my mom and I to be on the floor, but it was great. And I loved the Eras tour as anybody does. I think the production value was insane. It is in the middle of my list for those reasons. Two artists I'm kind of going to put together for some reason because mentally they go together. When I was in Boston, I saw Phineas at the Paradise Rock Club as well, where Dayglow played. That was so awesome. That was kind of a last minute concert. He did like a seminar at Berkeley, and then my friend Cassidy and I went to his show later that night. And that was at the very beginning of college. And so that was a really good experience as a freshman getting to do that and associating that concert with those memories pre-COVID. And then after I've graduated 3 years later, I saw Haim at Boston Calling with my boyfriend Caleb, and that was such a fun experience for us. Boston Calling in general was really cool. It was really hot. We kind of just went for the day pass just to see Haim and a couple other artists, I forget. He was really bummed because we were supposed to see The Strokes, and that's his favorite band, and they had to cancel due to COVID within the band, I think was their reason. So that was a really down day for us. A good personal experience for those two as well. And then above that, equal to the Shawn Mendes self-titled Shawn Mendes concert, I had a very big 5 Seconds of Summer phase. The whole room was covered. I think if you're a girl, it's boyhood, it's girlhood. You go through these phases of bands you just love that you think you're just going to be a part of one day. And I think Delusion is a good staple of a good childhood. So I loved 5 Seconds of Summer. I liked Luke Hemming specifically. Victoria and I have seen many concerts together. Victoria, if you're watching this, I actually am appalled by how many concerts we've seen together. We saw 5 Seconds of Summer and One Direction at the Rose Bowl here in LA. That was one of the best nights of my life. I'm actually concerned why I put this so low, but now that I'm looking at my list, I know why. The energy of the crowd at that stadium was unreal. I worry that feeling will never come to me again. I worry about it. It keeps me up at night. I have to say, it must keep me up at night. And to have seen them in my prime 5 Seconds of Summer phase. I remember I wore the 5 Seconds of Summer shirt and she wore the One Direction shirt because she was more into One Direction. So we got best of both worlds and her mom was there. I mean, happy times, happy times. If you were a preteen, I was like 14. I was like 13, 14. I don't think I was 15. Maybe I was 15. I remember my 5 Seconds of Summer phase slowly actually dwindled after that concert. And maybe it was because I finally saw them in real life and I was like, all right, like, you're just people. But I'll never forget it. When their music comes on, I get transported back into a delusional time of my life. Sixth to the top, we have James Bay. He's just an artist I forget about. And I don't know how I can, because talk about Ed Sheeran opening the gates for songwriting. He solidified, like, this is really good songwriting and this is the kind of music maybe I want to keep going with. And another artist that I'll get to later on. James Bay performed at the Fonda. I remember that being a very smooth and wonderful night. That was a general admissions concert. And I actually had a lot of fun. I was with my mom again, and people were very respectful at that show. And I think people went to go see him because they loved him. There was nobody there who just didn't really want to be there. I remember everyone was a really big fan, and he was smaller at this time. Not to be that person, I'm so sorry. He was smaller at this time. I just remember, again, I don't know why I keep using this word. The intimacy of the concert was really amazing. It was just a lot of backlighting. He had his guitar and his hat on as he does. And he played so much music. He played every song that I've liked by him, including his hits. So James Bay at the Fonda was sixth on my list. And above James Bay, this is okay, I just said not to be this person, but this for just once in this video, I'm going to be this person. Alec Benjamin's a huge artist now. I've been following Alec Benjamin since he had 6,000 Instagram followers. When he used to do lives every night, I would be so excited. I'd get home from school and do my homework and dream about being an artist. And he would go live on Instagram and I'd be so inspired by all the music he was making. And he put, not a lot of it on streaming. It was all on YouTube. There's this one girl who had a YouTube playlist of all of his demos. And I loved it. Played a show. It's I don't even know if you could call it a show. He played a very, very small show here in Santa Monica in a coffee shop. And I brought my friend Sarah with me. And she was so gracious to come with me to that. I'm losing my train of thought because, I met him after I got a shirt. He signed my shirt. And now he's so huge. And it's nice to know. And, you want people, when you're trying to be an artist, you want people to believe in you. And any of those small people who have believed in you so early on, you'll remember. Because when you see something in someone and you're right, it's such a good feeling as a fan and someone who just really respects the music he's making and the hustle that he's done in the industry to get to where he is. Saw something very early on that, we knew had to translate into a very successful career. And so Alec Benjamin at that little coffee shop, me and those like 30, 50 other people, was the best night of my life. The Lumineers, this was the first time I saw the Lumineers. I brought my friend Max with me. Wesley Schultz came down from the crowd like an angel and sang in front of us. Do I need to say more? I was like 16, 17 at this time. I was 16. Maybe 15. And this was the day I knew I'm doing music. I'm going to go study music. I'm going to move back here and I'm going to be an artist, or I'm going to work in music, or I'm going to do something in music because this is what I feel called to. I have a belief that the Lumineers don't need to try. And maybe that's a personal statement. I think at that time, where the band was, self-titled Lumineers and then Cleopatra album, they just didn't need to try. They put on a show and it felt like being home. It felt like music that came from the heart. It felt like when you got a wrong note in the piano, you're like, oh, I needed that. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like they're just in your living room performing for you. And I told you what it means to me to be at a concert where you feel like it's just you and the band and you and that artist. And it feels very personal. And I have to say the Lumineers are so good at that. And their little monologues in between each song are so well thought out, and they tell you about what each song is about and the story, and I just think that's the kind of artist I want to be. Above them, talked about this earlier. I know I put the other 3 concerts pretty low on my list, but Reputation is third on my list. That might be the best concert I've ever been to. In terms of production value, in terms of experience, in terms of, oh my Lord, every little detail was well thought out in this. That might have been the best concert I've ever been to. I think she had also just taken a break for so long, and it was so exciting to go see her in concert. And again, it was a really good night with my mom. And we were in nosebleeds, like almost the last row, and we had such a good time. Because again, the production value was unreal. The set list was well thought out. It flowed. It was fast. It was amazing. Reputation's third on my list. I don't think I need to say more about that. We're close to wrapping up. The second to last on my list is an artist. We have a puppy delivery. I'm so sorry. Well, this is a good time to tell you we got a puppy. This is Iris. We call her Shmoo though. Iris, will you be good while I finish this podcast? That would be really great. She'll just be here. If you're watching, there's a dog here now. The second person on my list, I was like 8 when I saw the show, but when I tell you I remember every minute of it, and that's unlike me. I saw Miley Cyrus front row, and it was with my close dancer friend named Caitlin at the time. That was such an amazing show. She's escaping. Being front row, my parents and my mom and her mom surprised us with those seats. We weren't supposed to be front row. I actually don't know how they got those seats. But Miley Cyrus puts on a show. I have been so believing in her after Hannah Montana since I was 8. She has something very special about her, and I think her stage presence is pretty unreal, even when I was 8 and she was very young. It was crazy to get to see her. Okay, I'm so sorry, because I don't trust you to be on your own. This is probably going to happen a lot with the episodes going forward. We're just going to have a puppy here. Miley Cyrus is amazing. I remember she sang right to us, and she had the wind blowing in her hair, and the production value for 2009 was unbelievable. Number 1 on my list. Oh, big yawn. I don't need to say very much about this show at all. She loves hair. She likes to eat hair. The Lumineers at the Hollywood Bowl. I already went at length about the Lumineers. That concert I hold very close in my heart. It was their Cleopatra World Tour. I have a giant poster on my wall right by my bed. I'll put a little B-roll shot of that. That show changed my life. I cried. I don't cry at concerts. I cried at that concert. They went on a monologue about what the song Gale Song meant, and that just sent me for tears of floods. Anyway, before Puppy starts to freak out, that was my list of concerts from least to most memorable. Last week I did a little cartoons series, and I know maybe the audio wasn't super great on that one. I wanted it to feel kind of casual, but apologies if that is not the most audio heavy one. That one may not be on streaming like this one is, but that one's on our YouTube channel here on moodmixer. I'm going to Nashville this week, so maybe, I don't know, should we do a little podcast episode in Nashville? I need to go be with my puppy, because having a puppy is like having a child, I think. And I'll see you next week for whatever we film. Can I say bye? Bye, guys.